Welcome to Blackbird Writers on Substack TV, real writers talking about their mystery novels. We gather on Fridays at 11 a.m. Central on Substack TV to share news from the flock, industry topics, and our favorite things. Today's industry topic is writing mentors, so stick around. I am TK Sheffield, and I write stories for readers to laugh and escape. They are The Devil Wears Prada meets a Wisconsin supper club. They're called the Backyard Model Mysteries. My co-hosts are Valerie Biel and Tracy S. Phillips, but Tracy is off today, and we've got a special guest. So Val, tell us about yourself and take it away.
I am Valerie Biel. I write books for readers age 10 and up. And the big joke is that I don't have a tagline and I need to take TK's class on developing my tagline. But I write books often inspired by my travels. And I am a book marketing professional. My background had been before writing in public relations and marketing. And so I took those skills forward to my writing career. And we're joined by Sharon Michaelov. Sharon, tell us about yourself.
I don't have a tagline either.
World traveler.
Yes, I'm a world traveler who writes romantic suspense and mystery and also historical, which I swore as a historian I would never do. But I've gone back on my word, and I live in Chicago.
Tell us about your blog. You've got a wonderful blog.
Oh, I have a blog on Substack called Coffee and Eclairs, Sips and Bites. And it's named after the favorite foods of the heroine in my first novel, and also mine.
Wonderful. That's wonderful. Thank you for telling us, and thank you for being here today. I look forward to hearing about special news that you've got. Today's a big day for you. And we are joined by Lori Buchanan. Hello, Lori. Nice to see you. Thanks for joining us. I know it's early for you out there in the Pacific Northwest, so we appreciate that. So what we do on Blackbird Writers live on Substack is that we introduce ourselves, we talk about what's new in the flock, and then we give an industry topic. And like I said, today's industry topic is writing mentors. So if you've got one, please tell us about it in the chat. We'd love to chat with you about how much that has changed your writing life. But here we go, news from the flock. So just in case, as a refresher, I want to tell you about what the flock is, the Blackbird Writers. We are a collaborative group of mystery and thriller authors who flock together to create engaging content for readers who love the genre. Founded by Tracy S. Phillips, the group brings together a flock of established writers, including Anne-Louise Bannon, Valerie Biel, Lori Buchanan, Nick Giarchus, John Dedekas, Sarah Lynn Richard, Margaret Mitsushima, Christine DeSmet, and many others, 18 others, to produce weekly blog posts, Substack newsletters, social media conversations, and joint projects. So as I like to say, we're dark feathers meet brilliant writers, and we were writing long before AI. So you can find us on the Blackbird Writer website, Facebook, LinkedIn, and right here on Substack. So news from the flock. Margaret Mitsushima will be in conversation with Sisters in Crime, Colorado Rocky Mountain High Crimes Book Club on June 17th. Who doesn't want to be a member of the Rocky Mountain High Crimes Book Club, right? And Sarah Lynn Richard, author of Exciting Mysteries, is part of a giveaway with the Stiletto Gang. See her website for details, and her Facebook too. She's talking about it on Facebook and X. And yes. Lori Stevens, she has advice for us. After returning from a recent camping trip turned book tour, something she recommends for authors, and Sharon, you might have done something like that. She's gearing up for the release of her new psychological thriller, Tell Me You See It. She's also working on a memoir as a work-for-hire project, and the person at the center of this remarkable story has given me permission to tell it, not as a traditional biography or ghost-written memoir, but as a true story. So very, very interesting news from Lori Stevens. Congrats on that one. And Sheila Lowe, she just completed a 6-week-long grueling re-edit and proofing of all 13 books in her series, 10 Claudia Rose, 3 Beyond the Veil, preparing to transfer them to Vinci Books, a UK publisher. She got rid of errors and rewrote some bits, and she feels great about the result. So congrats on that one. Also, John Dedekas has a YouTube channel called Writing as a Way to Heal. Check it out. I've taken his Writing Through Grief class. It's really great. You can follow John on LinkedIn, and and just catch up on what he's doing. And congrats to Tracy S. Phillips. Her Deepest Secrets is up for pre-order on Amazon. So check that out if you want to know more about her stories. And also, I have a couple things. I will be at the Southeast Wisconsin Lake Geneva Lakeside Book Festival on August 22nd. I'll keep talking about it, but Lake Geneva is just beautiful, especially in the summer. Check it out. That is August 22nd. So that's it. Val, on to you. What news have you got?
I am going to piggyback a little bit on Sheila's news. Her 10th book in the Claudia Rose series is out next week. It is The Lies Between the Lines. So even though she's switching over to Vinci Publishing, she is putting out that 10th book. And I got a sneak peek at the covers that Vinci Publishing is redoing. And I rather like them. They're different than what she's used before, which is, you know, part of the process, right? So anyway, I'm sure she will debut those and give us all a teaser on those eventually as she moves over there. Okay, so also from the flock, Galit Gottlieb, GP Gottlieb, her series, the Whipped and Sipped Cozy Culinary Mysteries that are set in Chicago, she is now has a new publisher. All three of the books that had been previously released, they're now out. I'll put the link in the chat. And then we are looking forward to the new book, the fourth book in that series coming out in the coming months. So that's exciting. And then today for my news, it's also Blackbird news kind of too, because we've got Anne Louise Bannon as the victim of my interview process over on the side today. So I'll put that link in too. Anne and I always have a great conversation. The problem is editing it into something that is like 30-ish minutes.
Yeah.
So we had some fun.
Well, you also had a blog post out. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah. And this week as well, I did take on a couple other topics, like the book award topic,
Right.
you know, whether we should or shouldn't pay for book awards, you know, that kind of thing. So I have a couple blog posts that you'll see on my social media too. But let me get these links in there. I'm sorry, I can't do two things at once.
I know. Same thing. I'm always afraid I'm going to cut my feed. Like
I know, and I am in charge today, you guys. So this is very scary that I'm the one who started this, and I am like, you know, in charge of this dashboard today. Bear with us. I'm really staying far away from that little red end button. It's bright red. I shouldn't have any issues.
So, all right, Sharon, I'm so thrilled for you. It's such a delight. We miss our dear Tracy, but it's such a delight to have you on a special day for you. So tell us your news.
Okay, so my news is that my newest book, which is a Regency romantic thriller, is out today. It's called Under the Kissing Bough. And it takes mostly characters from Pride and Prejudice and does something a little bit different with them. So I'll read you the blurb, and it'll give you more of an idea of what I did, and we'll see what you think. When Colonel Henry Fitzwilliam arrives at Rosings Park and reconnects with his cousin Anne's lady companion, Ophelia Hampton, he can hardly believe she's the same person as the unprepossessing 8-year-old he teased as a teenager. Now, despite himself, he is enchanted by the accomplished but penniless orphan. To his dismay, Sir Thomas Wainwright, a landholder in the district, has also shown a marked interest in the young woman. During a ball at Lady Catherine de Bourgh's house in Kent, Ophelia disappears, and Fitzwilliam and his cousin Darcy must undertake a desperate race across country and against time through the depths of winter. But will they be able to keep her from being married over the anvil at Gretna Green? One of the nice things about writing something like this is we don't know that much about Colonel Fitzwilliam,
Right.
Including his first name. So it turns out that a lot of Regency romance writers name him Richard, but that's my brother's name. Didn't want to do that. He's not a particularly romantic character to me, so I renamed him Henry.
Great name. Great name.
So tell us a little bit about your writing process. What's your goal for your reader? What inspires you? Give us a little background.
Well, the inspiration comes in a bunch of different ways, right? So one of the ways this came was that I agreed to be part of an anthology of short stories that had to be not only Regency, but had to have at least one Jane Austen character mentioned, if not anything else. So I wrote a short story of 7,000 words, because that was the max, called Colonel Fitzwilliam Meets His Match. And I thought, well, wouldn't it be fun to give him someone? And then it was a matter of figuring out, well, who could she be, and why would she? He's a second son, so why would she not be a great choice, and all this kind of thing. And then I always like to know what their actual problems are, because even if I'm writing something that's fairly lighthearted, but I had decided right away that I wanted her kidnapped, and I got about 2,000 words into the story, and I said, I can't write this in 7,000 words. So I contacted the editor of the anthology, and I said, so what do I do? She said, give it a happily for now. So I ended at the ball, and and then when this chance came up to write an actual book, and mine's longer than it was supposed to be, of course, I decided to resuscitate that story, and I rewrote the whole first part of the story because I had to do that to make the rest of it work. And then I spent a huge amount of time, since Regency, even though I'm a historian, Regency is not my period, doing a lot of research on things like how long does it take to get from one place to another? What did people do in the snow? And one of the things I discovered was mostly they just stayed home until it melted.
Well, the same thing we do here in Wisconsin.
Yeah. But the problem was, well, no snow plows, no people out shoveling or anything like that. So I'm like, how am I going to get them all the way from Kent in the south up to Scotland in the north in the snow? So I turned Darcy into an inventor and had him invent a carriage where you could replace the wheels with sleigh runners.
Yep.
Nice. So are you a fan of BritBox mysteries? Do you watch a lot of mysteries or historical romances?
It's funny because I don't watch much TV anymore, but when I do, I'm partway through The Other Bennett Sister right now, which I had read and loved the books, so it's fun. If it's Jane Austen, if it's Agatha Christie, other kind of mysteries, and then I'm a big fan of Department Q, which is on Netflix. So it takes place in Edinburgh, and I was just in Edinburgh in April, so that was very cool. I could see some of the places that they filmed.
Tell us about your travel. Yes, you did. Tell us about a few of your trips.
Yeah, I've been traveling a lot, but this last trip, which was 38 days, I spent 7 days. Yeah, it was a long trip. I was like, oh. And I have another one coming up in October, November, and it's another 38 or 39 days. And then I'm like, I can't make them this long anymore. I get too tired and I can't write. But I spent 7 days in Iceland. A friend and I went there. And then she flew off. She froze the whole time. I'm walking around with and we both live in Chicago. We're both from Chicago. She's got her heavy coat, her gloves, her hat, the whole thing, scarf, and she's freezing. And I'm walking around with my coat unzipped. Because it's like between 35 and 40 degrees. It's not.
Well, you're hot-blooded, Sharon.
Sorry, that's for Midwesterners.
Yes,
but
you're writing those romances. You're hot-blooded.
Yeah. Well, and her family's originally Italian, and mine's Eastern European. So it's all being used to the cold. So then she went off to do a tour in Spain because she wanted to be somewhere warm, and I went off to Scotland, where it was about the same. It was a little bit warmer in Scotland, but not very much. And then I went down to London, and then I went over to France and did a 13-day tour of France from Chartres, the Loire Valley, all the way down to Nice, and then a couple of days in Paris at the end.
Ooh.
So, and I have books that I'm planning that take place in Iceland, in Scotland, and in Paris.
Nice.
That's so fun. That's so fun.
Yeah.
I love to follow your travels. So for people who don't follow you yet on social media or your Substack, they need to. If you love to just get travelogue stuff and information like that, I am the kind of person who loves to see other people's travel photos, but you do fun like recaps of your days and stuff. It's a delight. And I'm always like, oh, I'm stuck here basically in the middle of a cornfield in Wisconsin. And I'm like, and I love to travel, but I don't get to travel all the time. So I can live vicariously through your travels.
Okay, I'll put some links in the
Okay.
chat for the book and for my social media sites and all that kind of exciting stuff. So,
I should say, you mentioned in the beginning that you would never, we're not planning on writing historical fiction because you're a historian. And I think that is exactly the right kind of person who ought to be writing historical fiction, because you're going to get it right.
Except I'll tell you why I thought I would never write historical fiction. First of all, it's finding a voice that, in this case, doing Regency is fine for me. I've read all of Jane Austen. I like that kind of thing. And I can kind of do that voice in a little bit more modern form. But my field is 15th century history. That I don't want them to sound like 15th century people, but I don't want them to sound like 21st century Chicagoans either. So part of it's finding the voice. But the other problem is, if you're a historian, you do want everything to be accurate. Mm-hmm. And you spend so much time checking to make sure things are accurate and so much time doing research that it takes you forever. I cannot tell you. The only good thing is I've learned how to avoid going down rabbit holes. Mm-hmm. So at least for the Regency stuff. So I'm kind of like, okay, so what would they do here? And yes. I do a search. I find an answer. It's like a couple of paragraphs. I know I'm only going to need one sentence or a few words or something like that. And then as long as it's accurate, I move on.
Right.
Because otherwise I could spend, days just researching things like, how often did they have to stop for tolls? Which is something I never even thought about until I was
there were
talking to a friend of mine.
They were toll roads?
Yes, most of the roads were toll roads. So I knew that they stopped every 7 to 10 miles to change the horses, right? But it turns out they stop every 4 miles or so to pay tolls. So think about how often they're having to stop. And then I'm kind of like, okay, so, you've got a gentleman, right? So a gentleman would go into a shop and he would have an account. And so he would never carry any money with him. He would be just, unless he was gambling or something. So he would just put it on his account and they'd send in a bill and then he'd have his man of business pay it. What do you do when you're in a coach and you have to pay tolls, which have to be paid in currency, mostly in like coins? Well, it turns out you have a money box, a locked money box. That's one of the reasons why people were targeted by highwaymen, because they knew that people were going to have money in the coach.
Gotcha.
We never think about that. But when you think about how you're going to pay for these things, and you're going to have all this money with you, highwaymen are going to know that too.
Yeah, it's not like they can whip out the Apple Pay.
Right. Yeah. So those were the kinds of things that, fortunately, I was mentioning. I sent some of it to a friend of mine who is more of a specialist on Regency stuff than I am, and has done more classes on Regency stuff. And she's the one who said to me, "Well, you've got a whole bunch of things wrong on your travel." And so we had a little meeting, and she said to me, "Well, this wouldn't work, and you can't really do this, and you can't have her lying down in the carriage and tied up because the seats are too narrow." Stuff like that. It's like, okay.
That's a great segue, though, to our main topic today, isn't it?
Exactly. Go ahead, Val. Go ahead.
I was going to say, we're going to talk about mentors and like how we all need people, and we all have had people that have helped us through, whether it was way in the beginning, right, where you really need a mentor. But there's so many people, that have helped us through at different times when we need like advice or assistance with information that we do not have.
Right.
So, I guess, I don't know if I would say that I had mentors that would have said that they were my mentor, but there were people who I relied on. Like, for instance, Lori mentioned that Christine DeSmet was a mentor to her. Now, Christine DeSmet was the very first person who ever edited any of my work, and was so helpful, but also kind and gentle. And that was through the Writers Institute. So I think that a lot of my mentorship came from forging friendships with other authors who were ahead of me in their path. And they were generous folks, and they were willing to share information, advice, like I think the very first advice I got was, "Oh, you're writing YA, young adult. you should join SCBWI, the Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators. And I'm like, I didn't know what that was. So then I went and joined SCBWI, but I cannot count the number of people who have been generous with their time through the years, which has led me then to be as generous as possible with other people, because you never know how that's going to circle back, and someone's going to be a friend and tell you that the seats are too dang narrow to lay down the kidnapped person. Right? I don't know. What do you think, TK?
So well said. I totally agree. Mentors. I went and got a master's degree, and I could write a news release. I could write a news story. I could write a short story, but I didn't know structure. I really didn't understand how to write a novel. I did not understand how to write a novel. So I was fortunate enough to have several wonderful instructors in the Mount Mary master's degree program that really. Oh no, I think we lost Sharon. Oh no. Hopefully she'll come back.
She'll come back. She was posting links, and I think she made it. Yep, she'll be back.
Sharon,
come
back in. So I just couldn't. I couldn't have done it what I did. I could not have finished that full-length novel without those professors. And then after that, it's the Writers Who Knew More and the Writing Institute with Christine and Lori Shear. And the people I met along the way, and you just have to persevere. And I'm working with some writers at the library who are making their way into writing memoir and some fiction, and reading their work, because you don't know what you don't know, and they're apologetic, and they're like, this isn't very good, and that, but I'm reading it and I'm like, you're better than you think.
Yes.
Don't let lack of structure or some spelling errors stop you from writing. Because and I have this quote, the greatest good you can do for another does not share your riches, but reveal somebody else's in themselves. So they're better than they think. They just need that encouragement to keep writing, get some spelling check, get spell check, and to keep persevering at it. So
I'm going to try to, okay.
Yes.
Did she come back in?
I see she's waiting to join.
So I re-invited her.
Okay, great.
Sharon, if you're still watching us,
we miss you.
We miss you. Yes, come back in. So I was going to say to her on text, send a new invite, because I wasn't sure that she was seeing it.
So the beauty of live television, here we are.
We're trying. But, I think too, through the years, there have been people who have just mentored, like I said, slices.
Yes.
And people who were more generous than they needed to be.
Yes.
I had a children's book. Do you all know the children's author, Kate DiCamillo? Welcome back. So Kate DiCamillo has written so many beautiful, beautiful award-winning children's books. Her editor was faculty at a conference that I was at. Oh. And you know how you can sign up and get like the first 3 chapters of something critiqued? Mm-hmm. So she read what I had. She said, I really like this premise. I think you need to do this, this, and this. Is it done yet? No. She said, send it to me when it's done. Oh, I was like, oh, wow. That would have been lovely. So I did send it to her, and it was no, and it wasn't a revise and resubmit, but she sent me a 2-page editorial letter about this children's manuscript. She didn't need to do that. She didn't get paid enough for that conference to do that. Maybe she didn't do that for everybody. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But it was kind of, it was one of those moments where, I mean, of course she was spot on. She edits award-winning children's books, but I really just appreciated that. But that's just one little like bright light in all the things that people have shared with me and shared their time.
Yeah. What about you, Sharon? Mentors for you?
Well, I'd say I started out with just books that I read, Jane Austen, Agatha Christie, that kind of thing. When and this was actually a big mistake, because for years I couldn't get any fiction actually written. As much as I tried, I'd get a chapter in and I would be lost. When I finally decided to try again, I joined Sisters in Crime Gubby chapter and started taking some classes. So I found some of my mentors that way. I'm in a critique group, which is great for that. And then along the way, people have just offered to help in different ways. So as I said with my story about my Regency problems, I last year I was at the Midwest Mystery Conference, the year before, whatever, and Katrina McPherson was there, and I was sitting next to her, and we were sitting together partially because I was going to be moderating her lunchtime talk. And I mentioned to her I was writing this story and my heroine was Scottish, and she said, look, I will not read your story and critique it, but I will read your story and make sure that the Scottish voice is authentic. And she did. She read it in like a day and a half. She turned it around to me. I was actually traveling at the time. I'm going, all right, how am I going to fix this when all I've got with me is my iPad? And it was amazing. For something she said, well, this is interesting. I've never heard this word before. And this is part of the problem with doing research online, is that, it'll tell you that there's this word. And she's like, I grew up in Edinburgh, and I've never heard that word, and I've never heard anybody from any part of Scotland use that word. And so the story was so much better. And when I sent it into the editor of the anthology, she's never responded to any of the things I've sent. I send them in, they get published. She never says, like, fix this, or I didn't like that, or blah, blah, blah. She sent me a thing. She said, your submission was the best thing I've read all week.
Oh, how nice. That's perfect. Yeah. Wow.
So that was really wonderful. So I've had lots and lots of people just help me out over the way, and sometimes you ask people, but I'm not very good at asking people. So it's great to have contacts where you're just talking to somebody and they say, oh, I can help you with that. Oh, I know about that. But the other thing is I've done several Writers Police Academy type things.
Oh, right.
And to me, that is so useful.
Those police academies, yeah.
Yeah. Because I thought, oh, I don't really write police. I don't use guns. Well, then it turns out you end up using a gun in your book, even though there's no police there.
I wish they still had that. One was in Green Bay, that Writers Police Academy.
Yeah, and they're not doing that anymore?
I don't think so. Well, I know Untitled Town, I believe, is coming back, but I don't know about Writers Police Academy. It was beginning of June.
I was at BoucherCon, which is, I think, or maybe it was Left Coast Crime, where I did meet Katrina as well. She's a very generous spirit. She's wonderful. She's very sweet and fun and funny, but really, really generous. I really appreciated those, the police academy things. I don't know any of that stuff, so I need help. Yeah,
I don't either. But so anyway, well, thank you, Sharon. Okay, so now we're going on to our other segments, which are delightfully fun. So we've got our Is It Real or AI, and our favorite thing. So Val, today you're doing Is It Real or Is It AI?
Okay, I got some pizza pictures for y'all. This is A, and this is picture B.
Oh, wow. Oh.
So if you're with us live, over in chat, you can guess whether A is AI or whether B is AI.
I know which one I'm going to guess. Sharon, how about you?
I can't tell. I think I'd probably say B, but
I'm going to say B too.
B is AI or B is real?
B is AI.
B is AI.
Oh.
I know. Lori, I was with you when I first picked. I picked the wrong thing. I thought this one was the AI one. This one's not. This was the real one. Okay.
Interesting. So there we go. More post to me. That's why I
tricked again.
Go ahead. I love testing ourselves live with this, because you just have to commit,
You do have to commit.
And the ones in general, the ones that just, to me, they look too perfect, in the depth of the noise seems off.
Yeah, I can see that. Yep.
But okay, on to our favorite things. My favorite part. Who wants to go? Val, your favorite thing?
I will go first. So I do this book club called Books and Beer, and the guest author was Peggy Jock Williams. I can't keep these from shaking. They're shaking in the camera. And they're little wine charms from Etsy. Look what she gave me of her book covers. I am a book swag kind of gal, so I was very excited about these.
You had great swag for your releases when you had that double release.
I spend a little too much money on this stuff, you guys.
Is there such a thing? I'll just mention this calendar that I absolutely love. It's the indie book calendar that they put out every year for the Wisconsin and Midwest area. It's the Midwest Indie Bookstore Roadmap.
I love it.
It's so cute. The artwork is amazing, and they do advertising in it.
Yeah.
And it just shows you all the bookstores in the upper Midwest area. And if you can get and they're free. You can walk into a participating books. There you go.
That's my 2024 one.
Aren't they cute? And they're free. I always hesitate when I touch it because I'm like, okay, how much is this? And they go, no, just take it. So I always appreciate this. So anyway, Sharon, favorite thing.
Oh, this is fun, you guys.
This is fun, you guys.
I decided to go with this one. This is my favorite thing right now.
Aww.
And it seems weird for a girl who lives in the city, even though I did live in Champaign for 40 years, so I was surrounded by farms. They weren't sheep farms. It was corn and soybean. I follow a farm in Dumfries, Scotland, and I visited it twice. And they have this amazing sheep there named Fiona. And she was dubbed the loneliest sheep in Scotland because she was caught at the bottom of a cliff for 2 years. And she was eventually rescued, and she was taken to this farm. And she's like a huge superstar. You can look her up online and find stuff from the New York Times and from Australia and from, I mean, it wasn't like a local Scottish thing. It was a worldwide thing. But she doesn't really mix with other sheep. So she was kind of a loner. She had a few sheep that could be around her that she tolerated, but that was about it. And she never shared her food because she was a very greedy eater. And they decided this past fall to put her in lamb. And so they did that, and then they didn't say anything about it until Christmas. They announced on Christmas Day that they had done that, but because by that time they'd scanned her and they knew that she was actually pregnant. And then there was a lot of, but what if she rejects her lambs, and what if she has a problem because she's an older sheep, and all this kind of stuff. Lots of things. But she gave birth to 2 very healthy lambs. You can see them in that picture with her, and she loves them. She's very attached to them. So now she actually has her own little family.
Right. So that's a happy ending for a Friday.
Very happy ending for a Friday. And what a fun thing to keep from your trip, from your travels, to have around your house.
And the artist, who's Alistair Cousins, who's in Edinburgh, was one of the rescuers of her. So,
so that's a wonderful full circle thing, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it definitely is. Unfortunately, I wasn't in Edinburgh on a Saturday, so I couldn't go to the grass market and see him at his stall in the grass market. But,
I put the link, Fiona the Lonely Sheep, the BBC link in the article.
Yeah. I got to check this out more. Now I'm intrigued about poor Fiona.
Well, I showed a friend of mine the video. You can go onto YouTube and you can find the video of the rescue. It took them it's like a 17 or 27 minute video or something. It was so hard. I mean, there were times when it looked like they were just going to fall right off the cliff and they weren't going to get her up.
They did.
But I showed
and then the
it to
other
a friend
thing you
of mine,
told,
and now so when I went to Scotland, she goes, "You're going to the farm. Would you bring me back something from the farm?"
And then thank you for that recommendation too. The Sheep Detectives is out in theaters, and I can't wait to see it, streaming. But The Sheep Detectives is also going to be a fun mystery. Speaking of crime and mystery, and something to look forward to.
Yeah, and it's book related, although it's not exactly like the book, but it was written by Leonie Swan, who's a German author, and then translated into English, and the English title is 3 Bags Full.
Oh, great. So, thank you, Sharon, for being our guest host. From our nest in the Midwest, we discuss issues in the book world, new releases from Blackbird authors, and our favorite things. So thank you so much, Sharon. Everybody, Val, where can people find you?
At valeriebiel.com.
Sharon, where can they find you?
Coffeeandeclairs.com.
Great. So please tune in again. We're here every Friday at 11 a.m. Central, Blackbird Writers Live on Substack TV. On behalf of my guests and Val and Tracy, I'm TK Sheffield. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you again.
Have a great weekend, everybody.
Bye.